Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here's your host, Dave Woodward.
Hey everybody, welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio. I'm your host, Dave Woodward. I'm super excited today because I've got a great friend and a guy I've been trying to get on here, but he's been way too busy. And want to welcome at this point, Andrew O'Brien. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Andrew I came to get to know you in such a weird way, and I just want people to understand kind of the background here, because you have to understand, in my position with ClickFunnels, in charge of all the business development, I'm always trying to find different ways of bringing in top-line revenue. And in doing that, one of the things we were looking at was PR. And Andrew is the PR guy. But I didn't even know that. In fact, what I was struggling with at the time was I was going out, literally getting a hold of 4 or 5 different Silicon Valley startup type of PR companies, and I had probably 3 or 4 just crazy requests. And again, understand, for ClickFunnels at our size, we were looking to spend anywhere between about $15,000 to $20,000 a month on PR. And as I was out there getting these proposals, they were just astronomically stupid. I was like, you got to be kidding me. We're going to spend $20,000 a month, and we might get a note here or a link there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And like the first 3 months of the engagement was all going to be fact finding. I'm like, there's just got to be another way. And just literally out of fate, what ends up happening is I'm sitting there talking with Russell, going, Russell, I'm struggling. I don't like what we're seeing. There's got to be some better way. And he goes, Dave, you're not going to believe it. I literally just got pinged by a guy I've known, but didn't know exactly what he did. And he's willing to put together a great offer for us at ClickFunnels. And he's actually wants to basically prove to us that he can do it, which you have to understand from Russell. When a guy says, hey, Russell, I want to prove to you that I can do this, I mean, that's just like music to his ears, because he's, as you all know, Russell's a huge believer in making sure that you provide value first. And so Andrew was the guy to provide value. And this was right before our Funnel Hacking Live event. And so literally at the Funnel Hacking Live event was the first time I met you, Andrew. And you basically said, hey, Dave, what would you think about us pulling together just basically kind of like a mini conference, a mini publicity conference right here. We'll ask all the people in the audience who has links or who has contacts. And all of a sudden we had, I don't know, would you put together 7 or 8 guys who all were writers for major companies and publicity outlets. And sure enough, I mean, Andrew has gotten us more publicity than I ever could have paid for, literally spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with any of the Silicon Valley startup type of PR companies. I cannot rave enough about Andrew. I mean, if anyone ever asks if they should use Andrew's services, it's an instant yes. I mean, you'd be an absolutely idiot not to. But again, this isn't, it's not as much promotion for Andrew, but I want to make sure before we get started, if you're even thinking about PR, this is the guy. So with all that said, Andrew, let's jump right into this, because I love all the stuff we were talking about as far as some of the stuff we're going to say. Why do people even need media exposure? But before we do that, I've been talking too much here, and I want to kind of let you give some backstory and kind of fill everyone in so they kind of get to really know who you are.
Well, great. And Dave, thank you so much for all the positive things that you said on there. So I got into media for one big reason. So I come from a crazy background. My life involved being a child. I was raised by a prostitute mother. So I went through a lot during my childhood, a lot of poverty, a lot of trauma. Got out of that, got into my teenage years, made a lot of mistakes with drugs and alcohol. Then I went from there to join the Army. And all this is leading into what eventually led into building my successful business. But I joined the Army. I served a year in Iraq as a lead gunner. I came home, and a year later, I actually tried to take my own life, and the reason was because of all the traumatic things I had experienced throughout my life. And whenever I got out of the Army, I realized that other veterans were taking their own life, and I wanted to go out there and help change that. So I started speaking and sharing my story of overcoming trauma and everything that I did. And what I realized is I wasn't getting on enough stages, and so I created a YouTube video, and I sent it to a couple of news outlets. Now, when I sent it to the news outlets, it went viral, and it got picked up by Associated Press. And to this day, I've probably been on over 70 global news stations for my own mission whenever I was doing my public speaking. And what I realized in that time was that media exposure can do so much for a business. And it's just the fact that, media is always so negative, but my story was positive. Yeah, it was about my trauma, but it was about overcoming that. And so, I got a little 2-minute section in the news feature that it's an hour of negative, and I got my 2 little minutes of positive in there. But I realized during that time, I got more speaking engagements by being on the media, and that's what led into me building this company and doing what I'm doing today.
Oh, I love it. And again, you have to understand where he's coming from, and he's got a whole podcast or blog, I believe, that's got all your story on there, and again, a ton of media coverage about his story. The great thing about Andrew is he's the most down-to-earth guy you will ever meet, and he understands the importance of media really for helping not only the business, but also the funnel itself. That's kind of one of the things that Andrew and I wanted to share with you guys today. And that is, obviously, anyone who's looked at marketing understands the importance of social proof. And Andrew, one of the things we were talking before we started the recording here was how many bogus internet marketers are out there putting, as seen on here or seen on there, and they really aren't. What's your recommendation? How do people overcome that? And how do you get really, really good social proof? In addition to that, what is the value to social proof for your funnel and your business?
Yeah, so when you're working on putting social proof on your funnel, the most important thing is not just the image. A lot of people focus on, as seen on Entrepreneur Inc. and Forbes. And that's great having those pictures and those logos on your website. If it's true, that's even better. But the problem is there's a lot of internet marketers out there that are putting fluff. They're lying about it and just putting the badge on their website because they're on some backlink of some random website or whatever. So what I tell people is if you put the link, if you put the badge, if you put the image of it up there, make sure that there's a link on the funnel where they can actually physically go to that article and read about you. They can see you quoted on that news outlet because that is going to build trust. Right now, I know I'm on Facebook all day, every day, and all I'm seeing is these 22-year-olds who talk about how they're so rich because they're in Bali and they're throwing wads of ones around. And so it's just, there's a lot of fluff going on out there. So what you want to do is build that trust and prove to your audience, especially your cold audience that doesn't know you, that, hey, I'm not just Joe from the corner. I've been recognized for my work, and here's my proof. Here's how you click on this link to read the article that was written about me here in Inc. or in Forbes or in Entrepreneur or wherever it is.
That's fantastic. So that's how you're going to get social proof if you have those types of things. So, and what happens when a person doesn't have that? How do they go about getting that? I mean, obviously they can hire someone as great as you, but if they can't afford that or they don't want to go that direction, how does a person go out and actually get media exposure? I mean, you did it without hiring anyone.
Right.
What recommendations would you have?
So I'm going to tell everybody the perfect step that's going to work wonders for you. Go to your Facebook page, your personal Facebook page that should be filled with entrepreneur friends or business owner friends, and put up a post on your Facebook page saying, hey, I've got a story I'd love to share. If any of you write for large-scale media outlets, reach out to me. I want to tell you more. And I promise you, just that one simple post will get you at least on Huffington Post.
Okay, I want you to rephrase. I want you to restate that because I'm sure people want to be taking notes on that. That was a fantastic value bomb drop right there. Say it one more time as far as what they need to post.
Okay, so you go onto your personal Facebook page and you write a post, a status update, and you say, hey guys, I've got an amazing story. I'd like to share it in the media to help spread my message. If you can reach out to me and if you write for a large-scale media outlet, I tell you what, I'll give you the story and I'll help bring even more of an audience onto this article to help you get exposure.
Boom. Drop the mic. Boom. Awesome. What else? What other types of things should they be doing?
So it's always stop talking about your business and start talking about you. That's the most important thing I tell people. It's not about your business. Media outlets want to hear from the person behind the business, not just the business. People buy from you and not your business. You first, your business second. Obviously, you have to provide value. You have to be worth it, but they want to know who you are. And so when you're reaching out to the media outlets, make it more of a story about how you went to bankruptcy and then now you're a millionaire. Or if you don't have that extreme of a story, get the intense parts of your story and share that with these writers. And the number one thing is do not go after staff writers, go after contributors. Now, there's a reason. Staff writers are employees. They're employed by the media outlet. Contributors are always entrepreneurs that contribute to that magazine. It is much easier to get an entrepreneur to write about you than an employee mindset person to write about you.
Oh, man, you're just dropping bombs left and right. So how do they find contributors? How do you get a hold of these people?
what you do is you go on to, let's say you want to be an entrepreneur. You go on to entrepreneur, and in the search tab, you put in keywords that match with whatever you do, whether it's with real estate or online courses or social media, whatever it is, whatever the keywords are in your business, put those in, find out who writes about that topic, and you can actually go on and see their portfolio. And on their portfolio on Entrepreneur, sometimes there'll be actually their direct email address. Sometimes it won't be, but there'll be their Facebook or their Twitter or their LinkedIn. There's always some way of contacting them, and use whatever way is available to you and reach out to them. If you know they write on your beat, and the beat in the media world means like your niche, your market. If they write on your topic, then they're most likely to write about you than anyone else. Don't just blow up every contributor on entrepreneur.com. Find the one that actually writes about your service.
Fantastic. So now they've got opportunity. They're going out, they're getting this type of things. How do you use that to really build trust? Because I think trust is one of the most important parts in a funnel or even in your business these days, because there's so many opportunities out there. And we joke around about it all the time. That is, the hardest thing is getting the first dollar from a prospect. Once you get the first dollar, the additional dollars come. And it's really building that trust to get that first dollar. So how do you use that, all the media exposure, to actually build the trust to get that first dollar?
So what I tell everybody is when they're doing these articles and they're doing these interviews with these writers, you always want to make sure that you're dropping bombs, you're dropping value into these articles, immediate action steps that they can take and see a difference in their business right away. So don't give away your top secret, but give away enough steps to where they're like, wow, this actually worked. I need to reach out to this guy, or I need to follow this guy or this girl or whatever it is. And what you want to make sure to do is you want to share these media features all over the place. Because what a lot of people do is they'll get on Forbes and then they'll share it once and then they leave it alone. So I always tell people, if you're going to be on Forbes and you really want that to help you, don't expect to be on Forbes and to make a massive amount of sales. The reason is because Forbes has 1,800 contributors that write for them. That means that on any given day, there are hundreds among hundreds of articles going live. So instead of just expecting you to get some leads from that, create Facebook ads and target that article, and then pixel that audience, and then retarget that audience with an Inc. article, and then pixel that audience and retarget that audience with a Forbes article. So instead of retargeting them with your funnel or retargeting them into a sales process, retarget them with another media feature. Because if every time they log into Facebook, they see your face on a media outlet, that starts to build that trust with your audience. And then they're very intrigued and most likely to convert on your funnel.
Oh man, that's an awesome idea. Great idea. So as you've had this opportunity of working with contributors and working with different media outlets, as a business, what are some of the ones, how do you find out what is the best media outlet for me? Again, if I'm real estate, where should I go? If I sell quilts, where should I go? I mean, how do I know if I'm selling quilts, Forbes probably doesn't mean that much to me. How do I find out what are the best media outlets for me in my business?
So you always just want to do, Google is a powerful tool. So I always Google, where does the most people read this type of thing? So if I'm a business that serves entrepreneurs, I want to be in front of entrepreneurs. So I want to be on things like Entrepreneur, Forbes, Inc., Business Insider, those types of things. If I'm in real estate, I want to find the top real estate magazines. So what are the top 5 real estate magazines? And just Google it. And those are the ones you go after. You Google the top magazines, the top media outlets, the top pages, websites, blogs, whatever it is that writes on your niche, on your market, and then you reach out to them and get them to do it. And the one thing that I tell everybody, so the reason we've had so much success, we've done really well. We've gotten our people in Fast Company, Entrepreneur, Business Insider, Success, Adweek, all over the place. And the reason we get so many results is because when we talk to these contributors, and this is one of our top secrets that I'm giving away right now, is when we talk to these contributors, I tell them, hey, if you write about this client, what this client is then going to do is he's going to create a Facebook ad and he's going to target your article. What does that do for you? It's going to bring more of an audience into your article. What does that mean for you? It means as you as a contributor, I know you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to get your name out there. So my client is spending his marketing dollars to help you get your name out there by creating a Facebook ad and bringing in paid traffic to your article instead of just the organic traffic.
Man, dropping them left and right, bud. Awesome. So tell me, as far as other types of media, I mean, we've talked about Forbes, we've talked about all these other types of things. What, take for example, like a podcast. Is there value in being on a podcast or being a guest blog post writer? Or do I just need to, is the only real media I should be looking at are just other people writing about me? What other types of things can I do to get media exposure if I can't get a contributor to write about me?
Yeah, so I tell everybody any form of publicity is good publicity. So whether it's a podcast, whether it's a blog, I don't care if the podcast has 2 listeners. Because here's the thing is what happens, for example, with me, my first news outlet I was on was Fox News Austin. The second news outlet I was on was Austin American-Statesman, the local newspaper here in Austin, Texas. And what happened is I kept doing the small ones and local TV, and then as I started doing the small ones, the bigger ones started contacting me. So I've been on things like MSNBC, USA Today, Al Jazeera, Huffington Post, all these major large-scale news outlets, TV that I've been on, they contacted me. I didn't contact them. They contacted me because being on this much media, it actually boosts your SEO. So you're able to be found before your competitors. And reporters, writers, they research people who they want to quote, who they want to get in touch with to comment on stories. If you're the first one that pops up when they're researching, they don't have a lot of time to do this research. They're just looking for someone quick. And so that helps. So another tip is make sure you create a media page and you link back to every news outlet, every podcast, every blog that you've been mentioned in, because that boosts your SEO.
That is awesome. So is that media page part of your business page? Is it part of a Facebook? Where do you put that media page?
It's on your website. It's actually on your website. So if people want an example, they can go to thepublicityguy.com/media, and that's where your media page is. So it's a media page where they can see previous features that you've been on, and they can contact you if they want to feature you in a news outlet.
Awesome. The other thing that you are just fantastic at, I hope everyone else is catching on to this, and that is you speak in sound bites. And I love talking to you and interviewing you. It's really a lot of fun because you know exactly what you're trying to get out. So how do you train someone to speak into sound bites? Because I can tell you as a podcast host, sometimes I can't get a person to shut up because they just ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble. And I can't find anything that's really a good quote to even use on our podcast page or to post on Twitter. So how do you teach people to speak in sound bites?
So all you have to do is realize when someone asks a question, instead of beating around the bush and working your way around that question, just get straight to the point. And that's going to make everybody happy. Podcast hosts, writers, whatever it is. Because we get so excited about our business. We get so passionate that I can sit here and talk about my business for 5 hours with someone, no problem. I could probably do 24 hours straight. But I know that people just want value, and I just want to provide that value immediately. And then that way, if people have more questions, they can ask more questions. They want to dig in deeper to an answer that I give, they have the opportunity to dig in deeper. But just provide that immediate value, then let them dig in deeper where they want to dig in deeper.
Awesome. That was perfect. I should maybe when we do this, I'll redub that and edit that and show them exactly how you did that. That was awesome. So people understand the key here is do exactly what Andrew just did, and that is answer the question, be direct, and then let someone else basically ask the follow-up question. So follow-up question then is, so what's the best way of getting practice for that kind of stuff? Do I just start speaking do I do Facebook Live to get practice? I mean, what's a good way for a person to get practice doing sound bites?
So I always say get in front of that computer, in front of that camera, whether it's on Facebook Live, Skype, or you're just recording yourself, talking to yourself. It may sound weird, it may feel weird, but doing that over and over and over again will help give you the practice. Or get a friend on the phone or someone that you work with and just have them judge you and tell you where you need to work on things, and just keep doing that over and over again until you feel very confident and able to do it. So just practice makes perfect.
Love it. We actually looked at doing kind of some of that stuff for our frequently asked questions, where he basically went out and had a friend, like you just suggested, had a friend ask us the frequently asked question and then responded in a soundbite, basically, or tried to get that response out without rambling and everything else. So very, very cool. Well, tell me, as you've had all these types of experience, Andrew, what are some of the things that you've learned that maybe I haven't asked the right question to get it out of you? What would be some of the other things you want to make sure that the listeners at Funnel Hacker Radio are getting? What would be some other things who are, business owners who are new, trying to figure out this whole thing? What should they be looking at?
So the most important thing that I tell everybody is there are so many different marketing. Sales funnels are obviously a core part of your business. Social media, direct response marketing. There's all types of tools out there. And the most important thing is combine them all together in one as like a piece of art. If you combine it the right way, you're able to get more clients, more sales, more whatever you're looking for, you'll get more of if you find out how to form that art piece the correct way for your business. The most important thing that I realize is a lot of people don't realize the value of publicity. And it doesn't matter whether you use me or not, or you go out and get it on your own. What matters is that publicity really does help your company if you use it along with your direct response marketing, your sales funnels, things like that. I will tell you the biggest mistake anyone makes when they're talking about publicity is they'll go and they'll do this interview on entrepreneur.com, and then the writer will link to their website. That's the biggest mistake that you can do. I'm on a sales funnel podcast. What do you think I'm going to say to link to? Link to a sales funnel where people have to opt in for something. Link to a sales funnel so that way they have to opt in and you can actually capture the audience that's reading that article. If you link them to your website where maybe you have a little pop-up or a way that they can contact you, it's not going to be as strong. But if you link them to a sales funnel where they can come in and get a free book and just pay shipping or whatever it is, if you link them to that, that's how you actually capture that audience that's reading the article.
Very, very cool. So if a person wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
They can contact me at thepublicityguy.com, and all of our contact information is right up there.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when a person's looking at social media versus some of the other types of media out there, whether it would be magazines or things like that, is there more value on the social media? Is there more value on the other, or is it all the same? What matters most?
I think there's equal values on both sides. I think social media is very important. It's very important to have a strong social media presence if you want media exposure, because people want to see that you're getting your name out there. But what I tell people the difference is think about if you write about yourself or someone else writes about you, what do you think is going to do better? Because it sounds better when someone else is writing about you and bragging on you and talking about you than you sitting there talking about yourself and bragging on yourself. If it's coming from someone else's mouth, it's always more. It's just like the marketing word of mouth. Word of mouth is always going to be the best marketing out there. That's how I've grown my business. And that's what media exposure is. It's word of mouth marketing.
I love that. That word of mouth marketing, again, we cannot express the importance of that. I can tell you, I did another podcast earlier today on our high ticket sales funnel. And our whole page is based off of, if you take a look at our high ticket sales funnel, the entire funnel is based off of third party, someone else talking about Russell, talking about his success, talking about his program. You don't even see Russell until you get to the second page in the funnel. And so that word of mouth marketing, again, obviously as a media guy, you've been around that forever, but I think too often people want to always be out there talking about themselves. There's nothing better than if you can get a testimonial or you can get someone else to basically speak for you or on your behalf. That is huge, huge opportunity for you. So tell me, how important are testimonials when I'm contacting a media outlet? Is that something I need to have first before I contact them?
Definitely, because the media wants to know that you're not some fluffing internet marketer either. They want to know that they can trust you. And other than you telling them that they can trust you is hearing it from someone else's mouth. I know, for example, I have a video testimonial from Russell Brunson. I have that all over the place because I want people to hear from a well-known person's mouth that, look, I'm good at what I do, and here's someone else saying I'm good at what I do instead of me saying it to you. And that helps me on every aspect of my business, not just publicity. So I definitely feel like testimonials are very key to your business from anyone, whether it's a big known person or just some entrepreneur just getting started. Any kind of testimonial will help in publicity.
Great. So are video testimonials better than a written one? Or, what should I be trying to get?
I like video testimonials myself because it's someone talking on camera. It kind of feels more personable. It feels more real. Because here's the thing is I can sit there and write a fake testimonial and quote some random person that didn't write it. That's easy. But a video, I can't make a fake video with a fake person that doesn't own a real business. So
how do you go about getting video testimonials from clients? I've got a lot of business owners say, I've got all these testimonials, but I feel bad asking them for it. How do you get a video testimonial?
Oh God, I am the last person that feels bad for asking anything. So I'm always very transparent with what I need because my clients are happy with me. So I know they're happy with me. If I feel like your client's not happy with me, then I don't want a testimonial from them. So I'm not going to ask for them. But if I know they're happy with me, if I'm willing to ask for a written testimony, I'll say, hey, can you just hop on the camera for 2 minutes real quick and just say a few sound bites about what you thought about my business? It's not a problem asking your clients. If they're happy with you, they will be more than willing to go out and make a video testimonial for you, because I do that for people that I pay for services. I have no problem doing that if I'm happy with them.
Oh, that's awesome. Andrew, you always are dropping value bombs left and right, and I'm sure if people are smart, they will be listening to this podcast 2 or 3 times and taking extensive notes. But anything else you want to share before we wrap things up?
I think that's it. The biggest thing is go out there and get your message out in any form possible, whether it's blog, podcast, large-scale media, small-scale media, whatever you can do, get your name out there.
Awesome. And again, how do they get a hold of you?
It's thepublicityguy.com.
That's THE, publicityguy.com. Andrew, always a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate your friendship. You've been fantastic for us at ClickFunnels. But more importantly, as a friend, you're a great guy, and I love working with you. Thanks so much for taking the time to be on our podcast today.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for listening to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. If you'd like to be notified anytime we release a new episode, just subscribe over at funnelhackerradio.com. In addition to that, we'd love to send you a free gift. You can find that free gift at funnelhackerradio.com/free trial. One last thing is we love giving away cars. So if you'd like access to a free dream car, all you have to do is go to funnelhackerradio.com/dream car and you'll get all the details. Thanks again for listening.